It's an almost endless debate. State police, to have it or not. Are we matured or not? Well, this morning, we're diving deep into that conversation, and we're not shying away from all of the angles because this is our nation. It concerns your security, my security. So join us as we have this conversation. We have joining us on the program this morning, Mr. Bala Hassan, retired AIG of Police, Lagos and Ogun State, is right here with us in our Lagos studio. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the Morning Brief.
Thanks for having me.
I'm tempted to ask what your position is, but again, I imagine what it is, because, I mean, it was the IG of Police that spoke about state police yesterday, and you are retired AIG of Police. But not to preempt you, let me first understand, what is your position on state police in Nigeria? Do you align with the current IG of Police, or you align with former President Goodluck Jonathan, former head of state Abdulsalami Abubakar, and a lot more people, even state governors, will say, now is the time?
Well, basically, I would align with the Inspector General of Police because
no
I'm sure
there, anyway.
He's talking from experience, and we have gone through all these processes during our days in the force 15, 17 years ago as commissioners of police, and we've seen practically that having state police will be detrimental to law and order in Nigeria.
Okay, now that we know your position, just so we don't preempt you, let's now dig deeper. And on the show, we'll try as much as possible to use real-life examples, so we're not speaking over the heads of people. It's easy to just speak hypothetically, but when we bring to bear real examples, then people can understand better. So you say you align with that school of thought that Nigeria is not ripe, is not mature for state police. But as I said, former President Goodluck Jonathan, who's been the commander-in-chief of the nation, says, well, it's the right way to go. The Minister for Police Affairs also aligns with that position. Former head of state Abdulsalami Abubakar, Oni of Ife, even governors align with this. So you say that you've had experience. So let us use something we just saw play out recently in the nation. And I think it was what Jeffrey referenced when we were doing the social media rounds. The arrest or the attempted arrest of former governor Yaya Bello. A lot of people have said this points to this and that. Can you use that as an example of why you think maybe are not matured?
Well, one could use that one as example, and also your own personal experience as example. You understand me? 13, 14 years ago, I was a commissioner of police in one of the major states in Nigeria, Edo State to be precise. Instruction was given to me to go and arrest a particular political figure in the opposition. You understand me? And when I look at, okay, let's see how it goes, they brought him to the police headquarters after finding out what actually happened, discovered that there was no offense known to law. Such person can be arrested, and you have to tell that person to go. So if to say I was a commissioner of police under state police, the governor telling me to do such acts, definitely I have two options. Either to do what is right and get fired, or to do what is wrong, to do the calling of the then sitting governor. So these are some of the implications, practical implications. I'm sure the IG, because whoever wears the shoes knows where it pinches more. From experience, maybe when he's commissioner of police in Kwara, something like this will happen. And as a commissioner of police, you are supposed to be unbiased. To the whole command is your own. You don't tilt to either this side of the political divide or the other side. So if you create state police, definitely there is that danger of using it to the detriment of a particular ethnic group or political parties by governors. So we have some governors that even went to the extent of sending some people to destroy the offices of oppositions. It has happened. You know, it's on record. So these are some of the fears of the decentralizing the Nigerian police. Because if they want to make police efficient, it's not about the fact that there is insecurity in the land, therefore you must create police. Give police what they really want to do the job. They will do the job for you. Give him, I want you to do this job. What do you need? Give him sufficient budget. Give him trained manpower. Let him recruit the best officers that will work for him. And you will see the result falling into place. But political influences to come into play when you do recruitment. A politician can list 30 people for his constituency and send it to you as the IG or the AIG do recruitment to take. These are people who have not gotten school start. These are people who don't have good records. So when these things happens, they bring you people that are of questionable character. They can't give you the best. So it's not about decentralizing the police, using state police to get the best for the country. It's to make sure that during the recruitment, we recruit the best officers. I'm happy there's synergy between the IG and the Police Service Commission now, the current recruitment going in. I learned the Police Service Commission chairman has even gone to where they do medical to ensure that the best people have been recruited into the force. So when you have the best people and the correct number of people, I'm sure the police will do better. We won't be talking of creating state police. We want to get the correct number of boots on the ground to do the work for Nigerians. Once you have the correct number, then things will fall into place.
Yeah, I want you to speak straight to some concerns, because if we talk about abuse, even the federal police is even subject to abuse. The federal police itself, depending on who is in charge, I'm sure you have those things happening, because now what you're positing is, if you're given an instruction by a state governor and you are from the federal, of course it's the IGP you involve. But if the IGP is interested, for instance, allegedly in a situation, of course you have to pander to the IGP. So if we talk about abuse, there is enough abuse to go around without trying to defend those who are saying there should be state police. Even the police, your people, abuse people as well. So if we want to talk about abuse, there's enough abuse to go around. Some people are also saying that the IGPs who oppose this thing sometimes are worried about the decentralization of their powers and all of that. I want you to speak to that. Is it personal to issue of, or as IGP, I'm going to lose my influence? That's on one hand. And then speak to the issue of these abuses. Because if we talk about abuse, there's enough to go around.
Okay, let's talk about the IG's fear about decentralization. That may not be entirely correct, because we profile solutions some years back that they can decentralize the police without necessarily creating state police. What do I mean by that? We have AIGs in various zones, but those AIGs, I can assure you, they don't have such powers to do certain things. In days back when we were young officers in the early 80s, a commissioner of police can build barracks, can promote, can do so many things. But right now, a commissioner of police, act of gallantry of a young officer, maybe a constable arrests an armed robber, you as commissioner of police may not have such powers to promote him. You may have to refer to the force headquarters to do. So there are certain decentralization that if they take place, maybe find maybe 6 AIGs DIGs in the various political zones, give them the same power, give them the budget, give them what they require. By the time they do that, definitely you will start seeing results. A situation whereby a DPO now depends on petrol, the owner of petrol station to fuel his car to go on patrol is not good enough. How many liters of petrol do you give a patrol vehicle? You can see the negative. Even in Lagos here, as good as rich as Lagos is, sometimes you see some vehicles, police patrol vehicles that may not be good for patrol.
Granted, if the police, as presently constituted, is empowered, they can achieve their mandate. But speak specifically to what Jeffrey is talking about, which is, if the police as is presently constituted is not free of manipulation. And I want to follow up with these concerns, even under this federal system of government that is seen as pseudo, that during ahead of elections there are deployments, redeployments, sudden redeployments that the public frowns at and sees as a deliberate attempt to send new police commissioners to manipulate the election, perhaps in favor of the ruling party. So even under this system, is the police not free of manipulation?
Well, these are traditions that have been on since we came into this political dispensation. I was commissioner of police in Abia about 13, 14 years ago. During the election, they moved me out of Abia to Niger, not because of anything, because having stayed in Abia for about a year and a half, I've gotten used to the the government setting, the people there. So it's better to remove elements of bias, to carry me to a place whereby nobody knows me. I did the election, 2 days to the election, they deployed me to Niger. And I did the election, after the election, they returned me. So that is the general principle behind it, is to make sure that where you are used to, you don't do election there. By the time you come to Niger, a different state, there's no likelihood of bias coming in for you because it's entirely new state. So such actions are to remove elements of bias, not for purpose of political interference. But as for the federal level, there are calls for amendment of the constitution to make the IG a bit independent. As I know what you are talking about is whoever, if appointment of IG basically is virtually on the hand of the president. So if president asks you to do something, you have two options, either to do the bidding of the president or you don't at all. So if there are those checks and balances can be put in place, I expect the National Assembly to put their mind to that, to make it such that you cannot hire and fire an IG. So when this is done, the IG will have, just like INEC chairman, make him independent, so that for president to say, I don't need this IG, there should be check and balance. When this is done, the IG will be comfortable to make sure that things are done the proper way. But I don't want to think posting of CPs during election is for purpose of tilting the election towards particular.
Do you deny that it has happened in the past and such police commissioners have later on been rewarded with promotions?
Well, I have not been part of it. I have served for 35 years and I have done several elections, but I'm not sure because you did particular thing, they may come and give you such promotion. But there's nothing you can do in Nigeria. People will not read certain meanings into it. But as people who have been on the field for the past 35 years before our retirement, I know that it's always difficult to please Nigerians. Either way you do, people will put blame on the IG or the commissioners of police.
Well, I don't know if it's a Nigerian thing. It's difficult to please people, but when you're doing the right thing, at least you can beat your chest and say, this is right. But now I find it concerning that it looks like people will do anything just to keep their job.
That is quite true.
And I think it is just sad. We should do the right thing, whether or not you lose your job. We see in other climes where people say, you know what, I'd rather resign than do something unlawful. But speak to this, sir. So what the IGP said is that it is we'll never have state police. He said we're not yet mature. So it's just as though saying this child is 15 years, the child cannot vote yet. Or this child will be 18 next week, will be matured next week, and that is when the child can vote. I have a sense that that's what the IGP said. So what are the signs of maturity that we're looking out for in Nigeria? Such I'll say, oh, we are mature enough. And I don't know how far away from that maturity we are, but speak to us about the signs of maturity that you are looking out for. Such I will say, oh, now we are mature. We have hit puberty or past puberty for state police.
Well, this concept of state police started coming when the insecurity, especially in the Northwest, have become uncontrollable. And good thing that in the Northeast we have started getting some sanity. It's because we are looking for solution to the insecurity, especially in some part of the country. This issue, clamor for state police came in. But have we tried other options? Have we tried to put more people on the ground to patrol these areas to ensure that law and order is maintained? If you look at the governors themselves who are saying, we want state police, we want state police, some of them have not paid salaries for their workers. So if you tell them to recruit state police, you recruit somebody, train him, let him carry gun, give him uniform, you refuse to pay him, you are creating another Frankenstein monster, because that person will come back and attack the society for what to eat. That's what they call frustration, aggression, hypothesis, provided by Dollard and his collaborators. If some people are frustrated, there's a tendency for them to manifest aggressive tendencies. So if they cannot pay normal workers, teachers' salaries, how do they pay this?
But there are states that say they can afford it. In fact, they say that they've been funding the police already, so this is nothing different.
Okay, if instead of that, why can't you get other paramilitary forces? Convert them. They are from Nigeria, they are not from anywhere. If you look at civil defense, the composition of civil defense or road safety or other ancillary paramilitary. They are recruited from the Nigerian space.
So
why can't we
it's not about maturity.
Convert them and put them where in the local communities where they are, so that we have now, by doing that, increased the number of the people to patrol Nigerians, and at no cost to the government, because federal government is already paying them. Right. Have you heard that they have not paid
I just want to be clear,
sir.
So for you, it's not even about maturity. You don't think we'll ever be mature enough?
Well, if we can look for solution this way without any cost to the government, why not try it? If you try some options, it don't work, then we can look for this.
Does the police have phobia for state police?
No, there is no phobia for state police.
Because that's the inference someone will be getting, because the question is maturity. Is maturity enough, getting enough boots on the ground, first of all, paying them well? What else is there again? Recruitment threshold. What exactly is maturity? Because whether the IGP or the police agrees or not, the Nigerian state is moving on the way it looks with state police. And I'm happy the IGP was able to express himself. At least this is my own position. If you choose to go that way, I have said mine. Because the former president disagreed. Two former presidents said state police has to happen. So maybe this conversation, because it's a national platform, what is maturity? We ask again. Number of boots on the ground, threshold, what exactly is maturity?
Apart from number of boots on the ground, getting well-trained police officers, number of boots on the ground, then converting those people who are already in the system, so as to save the government from looking for money to pay, to convert them to Nigerian police. When you do that, then we talk of maturity in the other side, that somebody should feel that, you know, you should tolerate opposition, like in other clients. But Nigerians hardly tolerate opposition. Once somebody, even not even in the political sphere, somebody in social media, in a group, social media, in WhatsApp, says something, some people get infuriated. So we really have to reach such level of maturity that opposition should exist. But people, as you earlier said, they want to remain in power forever. So if they see somebody coming to, even in our own uniform circle, sometimes if you see an officer getting well dressed, getting a lot of education and all that, they will say, this man wants to become Inspector General Police. You start tossing planning for him to from one police college to the other, so that people will not see him. It has happened to people like us. So people should have that political maturity. Politicians should have the political maturity to see that, to accommodate opposition. It's not any person that comes out from a different party is your enemy. The opposition has its own its positive impact on the democracy. Once we reach that level, we will not have any problem. But provided if you see any person as a threat, definitely that political maturity will not be there. You will see victimization. I see somebody trying to come and take over my government. If I have appointed my own state commissioner of police, I will unleash him on that opposition to go and make sure that they don't take over my work. And besides, there will be conflict between the commissioner of police appointed by a governor and the central authorities, definitely, because there will be conflict of interest. They told you to go and do something from the center. It's not possible. So that thing will bring a lot of friction, and it's not good for...
Okay, go ahead, please.
I'd like to believe that that is, part of what is being addressed in this ongoing legislative debate ahead of the amendment of the Constitution to accommodate state police. But it seems like we're getting to the heart of the matter when you talk about political maturity. So the question is the manipulation, the political interference, is it exclusive to the state governors, the subnationals alone, or there is also manipulation from the federal government?
I have talked about the federal government intervention earlier on, where I said that they should also amend the Constitution in such a way that the appointment of IG can have some sense of security of tenure. Because if IG knows that, I know there are some IGs in those days when we were young, the president gave the instruction, they did the other way and they were sacked, but they still lived. You understand me? There was the Muslim man that we were young in the force of blessed memory. There was a conflict of interest between him and the center, and these are some of the issues. But most IGs now, you tell them to do something, they have to, or either to tell the president politely that this is how it should do. If you get an understanding president will understand with you. But if he doesn't understand with you, there are many people who want to be IG, they change you. So they have to make a safety catch for the IG himself.
So it's about self-survival for the Office of the Inspector General of Police. But Nigeria is bigger than the Office of the Inspector General of Police. We're talking about the security of lives of more than 200 million people.
In most climes, they make provision for this independence of a particular office. If you feel you are independent of the appointing body, you do your work without fear or favor. So the IG too needs protection. He's a human being, he needs protection. He has children in the university, he has relations, he has just been appointed about 6 months ago, 7 months ago, he wanted to lose his job. So protect the IG himself, and you say a better work. So because sometimes the politician will bring, I've earlier told you, will bring lists of people who are not even qualified. In those days, they will bring lists. During when President Obasanjo came to power, he had to say that they have recruited so many bad people into the police. I was among the people who were sent to the southwest Niger Delta area to interview and remove these bad eggs from the Nigerian police. We have to tell all this. Really, you see it on the ground that the people who were recruited in the police were not good for that. You cannot see somebody who is like very short, like a dwarf in the Nigerian police. Because the rule said that the person should be 5 feet 6 inches, he should have no squint eyes, he should, so many criteria, he must be of good character. But all manner of people will be brought into the system through the act of political interference. But right now, I believe the IG will have a way, the way the system recruitment is going on now, there is synergy between the IG and the Police Service Commission. So we expect to get the best people to do the work for us.
I guess it's what a management, father management, Henry Fire calls security of tenure. That's what the IG is looking for at the end of the day. But one of the reasons people are calling for the state police is so that policing is closer to the people. So I want you to speak to that argument, that policing should be closer to the people, given the fact that we've seen these incidents of insecurity. And one of the things people are saying is the fact that the people that are guarding or providing security don't know the area like the indigenous people themselves. So if we have police amongst ourselves, it's like what is being done in Niger Delta with oil pipelines. Okay, rather than blow it up, we give you contract.
Okay, if you recall 1988, we were young officers then. The IG then ordered all police officers to go back to their states of origin, because they will monitor the activities, they know the terrain. But had you solved the problem, you will go there, you arrest your brother, there will be pressure from your people. The thing that ultimately did not become a standing policy. So it's not a criteria that because you want to recruit people from the grassroots that will solve the problem of crime in Nigeria. You understand me? Although it has some factor, but when we tried 1988, what did it take us to? Our own thinking, our own suggestion is that let us get people, because of one, the economic position of the governors. If some governors say they can pay, some governors cannot pay. Some governors cannot pay. Even minimum wage. Some states, if you know how much they pay workers, it's very minimal. They cannot pay even that 30,000 naira. You can't recruit a policeman and give him 30,000 naira in this modern day Nigeria. So if they want to solve this problem, why not start? Let's try getting people who are already in the system and absorbing them into the force and deploying them to increase the manpower of the police, why the recruitment is of able-bodied, responsible people is being done to meet United Nations ratio of 4 police people to 1 person. If they do that now, for a start, if it doesn't work, then we can say, okay, maybe the only solution to this problem is to go to the way of the former president that, okay, let's try this state police without work. But I presume that if we absorb some of the paramilitary forces into this system and increase the number of policemen on on the ground, things will be better for Nigerians. Because if you consist in state police, you see some governors will become what we call command of the uncommanded commander. They will be doing things that you cannot control.
Command of the uncommanded
I've never heard that before.
You know, retired AIG, I know that you're aligning with that suggestion to have the FRC, the NSCDC, essentially form a department under the Nigerian police. So that's, I think, what you're talking about, absorbing them and having them. So maybe you have the highway patrol that like you have in the US and the rest. But just to put it on, to make it clear that the IGP saying we're not yet mature is not the decision of the whole country. That doesn't now mean that that has been killed entirely, because you still have the state governors. Remember, the NGF said that 16 state governors had submitted their report on state police. 20 are being expected by May. So the state governors have a major role to play. And the National Assembly and state assemblies, they have their roles to play. In fact, that statement was made at an event organized by an arm of the National Assembly. So just to say that this is not a foreclosure, the IGP statement does not mean we're closing shop on this matter. But I'd like you to speak to, perhaps as we wind down on this, what some state governors have said, that we can do this. PDP governors have said, state police, we can absolutely do this. You say some of them cannot, but I find it funny if a state governor will step into something and not be able to, you know, fulfill their own obligation. So if we were to go this route, what do you think would change the mind of the IGP? We're going back to that question about maturity. What do you think would change the mind of the IGP?
Well, the IGP was talking from a position of experience. Before they made him IG, I'm sure he was a commissioner in police about 2 or 3 states. So he has gone through all these problems of instruction that are contrary to law. So he was thinking, for the betterment of law enforcement in Nigeria, let us try an option. It's when we try this option, it doesn't work, we can go to the other.
But it's not been working. The option we've been using, or except you think that this is the best option.
Well, I think it's a better option if we, because most of the people are talking about that in Northwest, a lot of that is Northwest because of the banditry happening in the Northwest and part of the Northeast, all those things happening. We don't have sufficient policemen there. Let's create a situation where we have sufficient policemen there, and to cure the inability of some governors to pay this new body they want to create, the state police. We should absorb. We have many of those paramilitary services, but it doesn't take us anything to do that. If we do that, it doesn't work, then we can go as a worst case scenario. Okay, let's try the state police with all its own attendant problems, because you see a lot of problems. Like sometimes in Shagamu, problem may come, in some part of Nigeria, problem will come. Many people, Nigerians live every part of the country. You have Igbo staying in Kano, you have your Hausa staying here. So the fear is that some people can use it to create ethnic tension using the state police. That is some of the fears. Yes.
Yeah, it appears you're saying that the center has a better control over issues of policing. Is that your argument?
I have argued that way, but with a clause that I have suggested earlier that these AIGs in the zones should be given power. Alternatively, create office of DIGs, put them to the 6 geopolitical zones, give them enough power to do as the IG is doing. But right now, if they do a borehole in Zone 2 in Lagos, here I was an AIG, the contractor will come from Abuja. He will go with the paper, do everything. You want to sign the document for him that he has done the work. But if you empower the zonal officers, you send the other DIG or AIG, let them have their own budget, let them have their own ability to control, to do so many things the IG is doing. You will see the team will filter to the level of the DPO. But right now, I can't assure you that a DPO gets 50 liters of fuel to patrol his area in the present dispensation. So we should decentralize it in a way and give them power without necessarily creating state police. Give them, either the AIGs in the zone, give them sufficient power to do what the IG is doing from the center.
Right.
You understand? Because if you are the IG, you are sitting AIG, somebody will come and tell you that he has finished a bungalow somewhere. You will sign the paper for him. He has not finished the bungalow. He has slapped a bungalow that was already finished, brought you the picture, you sign. He has gone with the money. So if you empower those senior officers at the zonal level to do what IG lawfully can do from the center, it has created a way that people in the grassroots, the policemen in the grassroots, will feel the impact of the center.
Just a minute. How many policemen do we need for a 200+ million Nigerians?
The United Nations suggested it for 1 police to 400 people. So we still require more. If you look at, you have to do your own mathematics, 1 to 400 people. But we are far from getting that number. But the recruitment going on is not to recruit numbers, quality numbers, those who are of impeccable character, of adaptive integrity, who will not go to the road and be spoiling the name of Nigeria on the road. Once we get those people, we have many graduates who have NCE, who have degrees, who want to join the force, Polish people. You take them. When you take them and train them well and give control to the AIGs to assist the IG, I think things will be better option than creating a state police for now.
So that's 500,000 that we need. Just to be clear, if you're to divide 200 million by 400.
Okay, not 500,000, but
we have to check that figure. I wonder if is it 1 to 400 or 1 to 4? Because 1 to 400 seems like such a huge responsibility on one policeman. But AIG, what you said about empowering the zonal AIGs is quite instructive, and I'd like to follow up on that. But there were quite a number of reactions, a number of contributions rather, to that debate yesterday on the need for state policing from former President Goodluck Jonathan, from former military administrator General Abdul Salami. And we'd like to take that and then we'll continue with the conversation. So stay with us.
We explore the models of state policing that have been successful in other nations. We must be judicious in adopting these frameworks to fit our unique Nigerian situation.
We are not going to debate, and we should not waste our time debating whether we should have state police or not. Listening to the speaker, he gave the history. Even in this country, we operated it before. Why is that the military scrapped it? Because of the abuse. And that is the area we should concentrate on.
As much as we are talking of establishing state police, we should also look into the role vis-a-vis of our royal fathers. I will emphasize that state police can enhance local responsiveness, improve crime prevention, and strengthen security at the grassroots level. I will recommend an institutional and legal framework that delineates the roles, responsibilities, and jurisdiction of state police forces within the broader national security architecture.
Welcome back. Indeed, that's the heart of the matter, and that's what we're trying to address. We still have AIG Bala, retired AIG Bala Hassan, with us in the studio. Earlier on, you were talking about the need to empower the zonal commands to be able to take, more far-reaching decisions that will affect the policeman at the grassroots level. And that's really the heart of the matter when you consider, the state of the welfare of the average policeman on the highways, on the streets. But speak to this, the police structure as it is presently constituted, when you talk about the Police Service Commission that you said earlier on now has, a greater working relationship with the Office of the Inspector General of Police. But as presently constituted, do they have the wherewithal or would it be the courage now to speak up on the demands of welfare of the police force? And if they do, as the IG has, taking the challenge to be vocal about the need, that Nigeria is not mature enough for state police, shouldn't the force be also championing its needs such that, there will be more operational efficiency of the force than what we're currently seeing?
Well, it's one thing for IG to make a request of what he needs to run the force for a particular year. It's another thing for the National Assembly to approve. If they don't give the police, in some other clans, police earn more respect, more salary than even other uniform services, because police are the men. You know, when you talk of crime prevention, they are the leading agents of when it comes to crime prevention duties. But what you notice is that in most of the states of the Federation, somebody was telling me yesterday that he traveled from here to Enugu. He met other forces controlling, preventing crime from Ore up to Enugu, which is not be the case, because controlling crime is primarily the duty of Nigerian police force. And if you give them the tools, definitely they will do the job. Our police force have gone to Congo, have gone to Namibia, have gone to many countries, and they will adjust the best. So why not in Nigeria? So they should give the IG what he wants to run the force. And this money, whatever is given, the incentive should filter to the men on the ground.
Well,
because if you give the AIGs the wherewithal to work, the average constable on the ground will be able to feel the impact. And if he does something good, the AIG should have the capacity, the power to promote such person instead of writing to the IG to do such things. So if those powers were given and the motivation is given to the men, somebody had died on active service, quickly they paid his own entitlement. When these things happen, the police will be motivated to do more and to ensure that law and order is being maintained in the country.
Well, you may be retired, Mr. Bala Hassan, but obviously you still have the police at heart, and quite a yeoman's job you've done for the AIG and the structures. But I'd like to thank you so much. But just before we wind down, we'd like to take this, one of the posts from one of our viewers. It's Sam Wasborn on X, and it's on this conversation, saying the paramount responsibility of any government is the protection of lives and property. Sadly, lives are being lost daily in Nigeria. We need state police to protect the lives of Nigerians. Any argument against state police pales in the face of this. That's from Sam Wasborn. So keep your comments coming in. It's a community show, as we always say. But retired AIG of Police, Bala Hassan, would like to thank you so much for your time on the show. Obviously, this is an ongoing debate, and we'll see how this ends.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll take a moment now on the show, and when we return, we talk about that all-important conversation around children. Oh yes, they are the future, but not just the future, they're also the present. So how do we safeguard their health and their livelihood? That's in a moment. Stay with us.